Alright, so recently we've been looking at the David Tubb nose ring, and I've been asked a lot over the course of the last year or so about looking at the 6XC. So I figured it was the perfect time to looking at the Tubb nose ring and doing videos on that, because we have several more ballistics gel test videos that we're going to be doing around the Tubb nose ring. But beyond that, I figured it'd be a perfect time to do the cartridge comparison between the 6 Creedmoor and the 6XC, because that is a cartridge that I have been asked to compare to the 6 Creedmoor many times. So, and there's actually a reason why I really haven't compared it, I haven't done this comparison, because honestly, there's a lot of ways that these cartridges do compare very similarly, but then there's a lot of ways that they're completely different, and really, in my personal opinion, would be probably better suited for two separate purposes. So, we're going to get into the cartridge comparison for the 6 Creedmoor and the 6XC. So, first off, parent cases for both these. 6 Creedmoor, we've been through this many times. 6 Creedmoor, you're looking at 308 down to the 30TC, down to the 6.5 Creedmoor, and then finally 6 Creedmoor. The 6XC was designed by David Tubb. Obviously, any of the XC cartridges are going to be a David Tubb designed cartridge, and is distributed by Lapua, and it is a 250 Savage down to a 6XC. So the 250 Savage is the parent case for the 6XC. So case capacity, 6 Creedmoor, 51.0 grains of water case capacity. When we talk about case capacity, we are talking about water, so fill the case up with water, weigh that water, and that is your case capacity. So with 6 Creedmoor, you're looking at 51.0 grains. With the 6XC, water case capacity, 50.0 grains, so just 1 grain shy of the almost equal case capacity between these two cartridges. So like I said, there is some very close similarities. Another similarity is the shoulder angle. 6 Creedmoor, we've talked about this many times, 6 Creedmoor has a 30-degree shoulder angle. The 6XC also has a 30-degree shoulder angle. I've said many times, I find the 30-degree shoulder angle probably the most efficient compromise in a lot of cases for a shoulder angle, so I'm not surprised to see that David Tubb would have used that 30-degree shoulder angle for his 6XC. Velocity. So, velocity. When we're doing the velocity, what we're doing is we're going to go off published data. So now that leaves room for people's hand loads. So what do I mean by that? We've talked about this before. When I say published data, I'm talking about the data that is published that we can use, and that is the data that we're going to compare. Yes, you may be able to load one of these cartridges significantly hotter, be able to get more performance out of either of these cartridges, but we're going off the data that we can use from a published source. So, published source data, we are going off of the Sierra load data book. So with the 6 Creedmoor, 110 Match King is the bullet that I picked for this comparison. Hodgdon's 4350, one of my favorite 6 Creedmoor powders, and is also a very usable powder in the 6XC. So with Hodgdon's 4350 in the 6 Creedmoor at a max pressure charge weight of 40.9 grains of H4350, you're looking at 3,010 feet per second from that 110 Sierra Match King. In the 6XC, something else I wanted to mention, this data is based on a 24-inch barrel. So obviously, if you're running a longer barrel, you can expect higher velocities. But this is 24. Both these cartridges are going to be based off a 24-inch barrel. So with the 6XC, with the H4350, 37.9 grains, a max pressure charge weight, 37.9 grains, you're looking at 2,890 feet per second. So 120 feet per second slower in our published data between the same bullet, the 110 Match King, from the 6 Creedmoor and the 6XC. Very similar cases, very similar case capacity, but the 6 Creedmoor is producing significantly more velocity. So, trajectory. So, trajectory, we're going to use our published data velocities and that 110 Match King, and I'm going to run my numbers with because I have very good true data with this 110 Match King, so we're going to run my true data, true ballistic coefficient, into these numbers with this velocity and look at what our trajectories will be. So 6 Creedmoor at 500 yards with that 110 Match King at our muzzle velocity of 3,010 feet per second from our 24-inch barrel, you are looking at a 7 3/4 minute of angle elevation to get you out to 500 yards, and 2,299 foot-pounds of energy delivered at 500 yards. Or I'm sorry, 2,299 feet per second, not foot-pounds of energy. And then 1,291.4 foot-pounds of energy. So we've been through this. We've looked at the 6 Creedmoor. 110 Match King is a bullet that we've looked at numerous times. So with continuing that trend out to 1,000 yards with that 110 Match King, with our muzzle velocity of 3,010 feet per second, you are looking at 24.0 minutes of angle from that 24-inch barrel. Now, also, this is based off of my personal height above sea level. So we're doing our elevation at 500 feet above sea level. So just so you guys know, that is what this data is based off of. So at 1,000 yards, 24.0 minutes of angle, and 1,691.2 feet per second at 1,000 yards from that 110 Match King out of the 6 Creedmoor. 698.5 foot-pounds of energy. So not a whole lot of energy left from the 6 Creedmoor. It slows down very quickly because it's such a light bullet. Even with that higher ballistic coefficient, it's shedding velocity very fast. And as you can see, that really suffers in velocity and energy once you get out there to that 1,000-yard point. So the 6XC at 500 yards. So same bullet, 110 Match King, same powder with its max pressure charge weight of 37.9 and a muzzle velocity of 2,890 feet per second. You are looking at, with the 6XC at 500 yards, 8 3/4 minutes of angle. So a full minute of angle more trajectory from your 6XC over the 6 Creedmoor, with all things being equal. Your velocity at target, 2,195.7 feet per second, and 1,177.5 foot-pounds of energy on target. So not a significant energy loss, right at about the same feet per second. So 120 feet per second difference at the muzzle, 120 foot-pounds of energy difference at 500 yards. So at 1,000 yards with the 6XC, 26.25 minute of angle. So you're looking at 2.25 minute of angle more trajectory than your 6 Creedmoor, and 1,602.4 feet per second velocity at target at 1,000 yards, and 62.7 or 627.1 foot-pounds of energy. So still down, not below 600 foot-pounds of energy with your 6XC, but still down in that lower range, which is what we would expect as we see that with the 6 Creedmoor, and the 6XC is running significantly slower. So that is one of the reasons with the 6XC running a little bit slower than the 6 Creedmoor. That's one of the reasons I've kind of avoided doing this, because honestly, it's not a comparison where these cartridges are going to be neck and neck in any way. But they are neck and neck in some ways. They're very, very similar case capacities and all that. But one of the things is with the 6XC, what we're getting ready to talk about, our recoil, our barrel life, the things that are going to matter in PRS shooting, which is what the 6XC was, from what I understand, was really designed around. The things that are going to matter in that PRS match are where the 6XC shines, and you're really not giving up a whole lot of trajectory, as we see. 2.5 minutes or 2.25 minutes out to 1,000 yards is not a lot of trajectory to give up. And if you have a consistent load, and from what I understand about the 6XC and most of these XC cartridges designed by David Tubb, they have very wide accuracy nodes, so it's very easy to work up a very good load and have a load that's going to be consistent. So that's another big plus from what I understand from somebody I know who has been running a 6XC for quite some time. So that's another thing to think about with these two cartridges. Even though they don't match up in velocity, and the 6 Creedmoor has a more significant velocity, the 6XC has places where it's going to shine. So let's get into those. So barrel life, 6 Creedmoor, as we've talked about many times, I am a avid 6 Creedmoor barrel burner, so I have burnt out many 6 Creedmoor barrels. I've got a stack of burn up 6 Creedmoor barrels, as a matter of fact. So 6 Creedmoor barrel life. Now, obviously, I've done videos where I've talked about how I've been able to squeeze 2,000 rounds of match accuracy out of a 6 Creedmoor barrel, but that is not a normal thing. For me to do that, I go by all the ways that I've talked about in that video. So if you guys are curious how I do that, feel free to go back and watch that video. But in the normal circumstances, 6 Creedmoor is not going to be a 2,000 round match accuracy cartridge. So that being said, what is it? So in my personal experience, from everybody I've talked to, now I personally have always gotten more out of my 6 Creedmoor barrels out of perfect match accuracy. And when we talk about match accuracy, we're talking about the best accuracy out of that barrel. So from the time that barrel's new till the time that barrel finally starts to degrade in accuracy ever so slightly, that is the length of your match accuracy. So with a 6 Creedmoor, you're looking at somewhere between 12 and 1500 rounds typically of match accuracy. Not a whole lot. 6 Creedmoor is considered a barrel burning cartridge, but in most cases it is a fairly overbore cartridge. But as you see, the 6XC is also fairly overbore in comparison to other 6mm cartridges. You're burning almost as much powder. So barrel life of the 6XC, though, the 6XC has a significantly higher barrel life. So from all the data that I could find, obviously I've never burned out a 6XC barrel, but from everything I can find online, taking an average of all the numbers that I see, it looks like you're looking at between 1800 and 2200 rounds of match accuracy out of a 6XC barrel on average, which is, if you're adding at least another 800 rounds or so on top of your 6 Creedmoor barrel. So that is a significant amount, and enough that is really can sway somebody's pocketbook when you're burning out barrels another half as fast with the 6 Creedmoor. Recoil is another place where the 6XC is going to shine over the 6 Creedmoor. Now, not a whole lot. You are launching, with all things being equal, launching the same size projectile, burning almost the same amount of powder. Just like everything has an equal and opposite reaction. The 6 Creedmoor, because it has a larger amount of powder to burn, it is going to have slightly more recoil with everything being equal than the 6XC, which is another big advantage in the PRS shooting that the 6XC was designed around. So that's another big place where that 6XC is going to shine, is in the fact that it's going to have a little bit less recoil than your 6 Creedmoor. Now, if it's some other type of shooting where you're not worried about super fast follow-up shots right on as fast as you see in like PRS shooting, then the 6 Creedmoor does not have a lot of recoil. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that it is a heavy recoiling cartridge, because in no way is that even close to a true statement. But it is a heavier recoiling cartridge than the 6XC is going to be. So factory ammo availability. So this is a place where the 6 Creedmoor, if you're not a hand loader and you're looking at the 6XC or the 6 Creedmoor, it would be almost silly to go with the 6XC unless you have pretty deep pockets, because the 6XC has very limited types of factory ammo. From what I could find, I think I found the Peterson, Norma, and then David Tubb's actual hand loads as well, or his factory ammo designed for the 6XC. So from what I've been able to find, there is only 3 manufacturers doing factory 6XC ammo, and it is not going to be cheap in any way. The 6 Creedmoor, now the 6 Creedmoor ammo is not going to be, if you're shooting factory 6 Creedmoor ammo, obviously it's not going to be cheap in any way either, because prices of ammo right now are absolutely ridiculous. But if that wasn't the case, 6 Creedmoor would be a little bit cheaper than 6XC to buy if you're not hand loading, as well as it's going to be much more prevalent. Most of the major manufacturers produce 6 Creedmoor rifles and 6 Creedmoor ammo, and because of that, it is in normal times a pretty prevalent cartridge and can be found at pretty reasonable prices. Same thing with factory rifles. 6XC, because it's more of a kind of a custom cartridge, it's going to be something that you're probably, if you're going to get into the 6XC, you're probably going to be building that rifle. Whereas the 6 Creedmoor, there are many options available for factory ammo or factory rifles out of the box, ready to go, chambered in 6 Creedmoor. It is an extremely popular cartridge, one of the most popular among the PRS shooters, and I think that's a big reason why 6 Creedmoor has really risen to prominence so quickly, that and it being a Hornady cartridge, or Hornady pushing it. So this has been the full comparison of the 6 Creedmoor and the 6XC. I hope if you guys are looking at either of these cartridges, maybe this helps narrow down your decisions, gives you guys something to think about, the differences between these two cartridges. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.